If somebody didn't say it to you yet, let me just tell you, I am so glad you're here. Turn to your neighbor directly next to you, and ask him how their day was today. All right, listen, real quick. I got something for us, and it's going to involve you standing. I know you were just standing, so here's what I need. Everybody stand up real quick. I need everybody to stand up. I need everybody to stand. There we go, perfect. So it's very simple. I got a couple of these, and I'm going to give you two things, and you gotta pick which one you like more. So I'll give you an example. You got to go that side of the room. So for example, if I were to say the easiest one, this should be the easiest one. If you like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, go to that side. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. If you don't care, you can go in the middle. Come on now. All right, so I'm going to talk to this side because you guys have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to talk to this side since they have no idea what they're... Come on, somebody. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I don't care what you say. All right, this is another easy one. They get a little trickier after this. Another easy one. iPhone or Android? iPhone or Android? iPhone or Android? iPhone or Android? iPhone, Android. You people give us the green text. It's your fault. All right, here's one, and I have very strong opinions about this one. If you think pineapple should be on pizza, go over here. If you don't think pineapple should be on pizza, go over here. If you think it should, go over here. No. If you don't think it should, go over here. No. All right, two more. I just wanted to say pineapple should not be on pizza. Yes, thank you. Would you rather have a friend that claps off beat or sings off key? 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 All right, we're down to our final one. Would you rather, on this side over here, accidentally call your teacher mom or trip in front of your crush? Accidentally call your teacher mom or trip in front of your crush? Accidentally call your teacher mom. I have done that too. All right, everybody, you can find a C. So how many of you would say you have an irrational fear? Irrational fear. You're like a fear that's like, it doesn't really make sense, but I have it. Yes, what is yours? Chickens. That's a new one. Okay, that's a new one. Yes.
I'm not scared of the dark. I'm scared of what's in the dark.
Not scared of the dark, but what's scared in the dark. So you're scared of the dark. Fantastic. Yes. She is a swimmer, but she's scared of swimming pools. Scared of smiley faces. Okay, that's a new one. Small people. Okay. The beam at gymnastics. Okay, yes. Weird textures. Okay, I get that one. Yes, last one. What'd you say? The beam at gymnastics. Okay, understandable. And I ask you this question because where we're going to pick up in this story is we find somebody who is in the middle of being afraid. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to picture inside this moment. There's been a couple moments in my life that this happened, can you picture in your moment one time that you would say you were genuinely afraid? You were scared. Y'all picturing it? Y'all picturing it? Y'all picturing it? So I want you to, as you picture this, keep your eyes closed. I want you to picture that moment, and then I want to read to you this story. So this story comes from a couple thousand years ago, and what we find is that there's this man named Gideon. Everybody say Gideon. That was not great. Not great. Gideon. Gideon. All right, let's try it again. Everybody say Gideon. That was a little better, okay? Now, everybody close your eyes. Picture that moment again. Picture that moment of fear that you have. And this is where we find Gideon. What we find is that there's this group of people during this day that has taken over the country that he lives in Israel. And what we find inside this moment is that Gideon's afraid. These people for 7 years terrorized the nation that he's a part of. It's picture the U.S. being taken over by a country and them just terrorizing us. This is where we find him. And we find Gideon hiding inside a cave. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? And it says this: the angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak and ophir that belonged to Joash, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. And I want you to catch, this is the part I want you to get. It says, then the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, and he said this. He said, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Keep your eyes closed. Let me pray for us as we jump in here. Father, I thank you for you are. God, I thank you that you place an identity inside every single person in here. That regardless of whatever when they went through today, regardless of whatever somebody said today, regardless of what they believe about themselves, God, you've placed an identity inside of them. And God, today I pray you speak to us. Show us that identity. We love you. Amen. So tonight we're going to talk about identity. Before we do that, I want you to understand. I want to go back and read that to you. It says, so Gideon is hiding someplace he's not supposed to be, inside a cave because he's afraid. And what does it say happens? It says, then the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon. I want you to understand something. If you walked in here today and you're struggling with something, you walked in here today going, you don't understand the things I said today, the things I did today. You don't understand. I didn't go to church. I don't read my Bible. I want you to understand something. God comes to you in your situation. Regardless of wherever you find yourself at, God meets you where you are. And this is the exact moment we find Gideon. Gideon is trying not to be found in this moment. He's hiding. He's fearful. And yet that's the very place that God shows up. Y'all with me? So today, if you walked in here and you're going, I just don't know. I'm just not sure. I don't know if God's there. I've been walking through this situation. I want you to hear me say that God comes to you where you're at. He's going to meet you. You see, I'll never forget this growing up. My mom, she might be with my daughter. I don't see her in here. My mom always had this thing. I had this friend. His name was Zach. Obviously, his name was Zachary. Anybody go by like a shorter name? You know, your name's this. Yeah, you all right? You're a great one. Right? So that's a normal thing, right? You know, like some people, they just shorten their name. That's what they go by. Well, my mom refuses to call people that. And I remember this because I just become friends with this guy. His name was obviously Zachary. Everybody called him Zach. And I was friends with him. And finally, I invited him over to my house. And he comes over. And I say, this is my mom, blah, blah. My mom goes, what's his name? I said, oh, it's Zach. And she goes, what's his name? I said, Zach. She goes, what's his name? I said, Zach. And I never forget this moment because I was a little embarrassed. I was like, Mom, what are you doing right now? You know what I mean? Like, I just became friends with this dude. You're embarrassing me. Y'all with me? And I'll never forget this thing that she said. It was so profound. It blows my mind to this day. And she said this, and this is 100% true. Till to this day, she will not call somebody by a shorter name like or thing. This is what she said. She said, only the person who created them can give them their name or give them their identity. And the thing I want to talk to you about today is this. God created each and every single one of you inside here. It's not an accident that you're here. It's not by chance that you're here. God's created you for this moment. He's placed you inside this. And the thing I want you to understand is this. Only the person, God, can give you your identity. Not the people around you. Not that teacher. Not that coach. Not that person that stabbed you in the back. Not the person that said that, not even yourself. Only the person who created you can give you your identity. We find this in Genesis 1:27. It says this, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. So God created each and every single one of us. He created us in his image, and the reality is this, God's created you for this moment. He's placed an identity inside of you. And if you'll grab a hold of that identity, it doesn't matter what anybody else says or does. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? So I want to give you an example. Is anybody, I need somebody in here to help me. Somebody in here? Yeah, Malik, come on up. Your first hand was up. Come on up, Malik. Malik was faster, sorry. Give it up for Malik while he's on his way up. I already said your name, but what's your name?
Malik.
Where do you go to school?
Leonard.
He thought about that. He thought about that. I said, where do you go to school? He went, Leonard. I don't know. Who's excited that he goes to Leonard? Anybody in here? Yeah. Okay. Malik, if I were to ask you a question, he tried to snatch that. If I were to ask you this question, do you want this $20 bill? What would you say?
Absolutely.
I need a little more excitement out of you. What would you say?
Yes!
Well, you're not getting it, but I do need you to help me with something. This $20 bill, if I were to say, do you want this $20 bill? What would you say?
Yes.
Okay. If I were to ask you, do you want this $20 bill? What would you say?
Yes. Oh my God, give me the
If I were to ask you, do you want this $20 bill? What would you say?
Yes.
Do you want this $20 bill?
Yes, I do. I don't think you understand. I want the money.
Do you want that $20 bill?
Yes. Am I supposed to say?
No, you're doing great.
Okay. Yeah, you might win, yeah.
Do you want this $20 bill?
Yes.
Well, you can't have it. It's okay.
Yep.
But here's my point. Here's the thing I want you to understand. This $20 bill, regardless of whatever has happened to it inside this moment, how much is it worth, Malik?
$20.
Does it matter if I step on it?
No.
Does it matter if I say you're ugly and stupid and nobody loves you? No. How much is this worth?
$20.
And what happens to us is this, is we think that things that people say about us and the things that happen to us all of a sudden change our worth and our identity. And what I want you to understand today is that Genesis 1:20 said and say this. He doesn't say, so God created mankind in his own image, but people said this, and people did this, and this happened to them, so now no longer is the image of God placed inside of them. No, what does it say? So God created the mankind in his own image, what? But what happens is we begin to believe that our worth and value is tied to what other people believe, and sometimes what we think about ourselves. So Malik, I'm going to ask you again, do you want this $20?
Yes.
Is this worth $20?
Yes.
Why is it worth $20, Malik? Do you know?
Because it has you know what I'm saying? like it has
Does anybody know why this is worth $20?
Because it's government.
Because right in the top corner, what does it say? It says the United States of America. Why? Because the people who created this money, the creators of it, determine its value. Doesn't matter what I say. If I go to the store right now and I try to spend $100 with this, what are they going to do? Laugh at me? If I go up to them with this $20 bill and I go, oh man, I don't have enough. It rings up to $15. I only have $10. They're probably going to laugh at me. Why? Because this bill is worth $20. Doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what I say, but what happens is this, is that we place our identity in what other people think and what we think about ourselves. And what happens is we find ourselves like Gideon. We find ourselves in situations we are never intended to be, in places we are never intended to go, all because we're worried about the identity somebody else has placed in us. Malik, I do have a prize for you, but I'll give it to you at the end, okay? So everybody give it up for Malik. Everybody give it up for Malik. Everybody give it up for Malik. You see, when you have an identity you were never meant to have, you do things you were never meant to do. You see, I want you to catch what the angel of the Lord says to Gideon. I'm going to read it to you one more time. It says this, and the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, and he said, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. I'm going to give you a little remembering check, see if your memory's good. Does anybody remember where I said Gideon was at the beginning of this story? In a cave, hiding, scared, fearful. And what does God call him? A mighty warrior. See, God placed an identity inside of him before he was even born. He placed him for that moment to be a warrior. And what we're going to find at the end, I'll give it to you, is that Gideon becomes that mighty warrior because he grabs a hold of his identity. But what happens is we find Gideon hiding in a cave. Why? Because he was placed in identity of what other people said about him, about what he thought about himself. He said, there's no way I can do anything, so I'm just going to hide. And what happens is we place an identity on ourselves based on what other people think, based on what we think about ourselves, and it's an identity you were never created to have. You think, I'm not good enough? I'll never make it. I'm not this, I'm not that. And you label yourself, give yourself an identity, but the reality is this. The same way it doesn't matter whatever I say about that $20 bill, it doesn't change its value. Why? Because I'm not the creator of it. And the same way it doesn't matter what anybody else says, doesn't even matter what you say about yourself. Because the creator's already placed an identity inside of you. Are y'all with me today? Yeah. I wrote it this way: you're not defined by other people, you're not defined by yourself, you're not defined by feelings, you're not defined by failures, you're not defined by names, you're defined by God. You see, Gideon was acting like what he believed about himself. And what happens is, how many of you came as a duo or a trio today? Raise your hand. Came as a duo or a trio? Yes. Don't worry, we have a prize at the end for you all. That's crazy. Came as a duo or a trio. And what happens is that we place on a mask on ourselves, we put on this costume on ourselves, and we place on this identity on ourselves that you were never created or intended to have. We place it on ourselves to try to hide like Gideon did. Y'all with me? I wrote it this way: when others look at Gideon, they saw a fearful man hiding in a cave. But when God looked at Gideon, he saw a mighty warrior. And so I want to give you a few things. And I'll give you a minute to write them down. I'm going to throw them up on you. There's verses that match along with it. But I want you to understand that these are just some of the things. Just scratching the surface of what God says about you. It says things like you're loved, fully known. That you're a son and daughter of God. You're a masterpiece. You were chosen. You're wonderfully made. You're forgiven. You're beloved. And you're courageous. And I want you to do something for me. At the end here, we'll put them back up. And I would encourage you, if you find yourself struggling with your identity, write this on a sticky note, put it on your mirror, put it on your phone. Remind yourself of the identity God's placed inside of you. Because I want you to understand, this is just scratching the surface of what God says about you. God created you and placed you here for this very moment. He called you all of these things. Are y'all with me? There's two more things I want you to understand. The first one is this: changing your identity can change the trajectory of your life forever. You see what happens right after this moment? The angel of the Lord appears to Gideon and says, he's a mighty warrior. Gideon leaves this cave, immediately rounds up 300 men and goes and defeats an army of 137,000 with 300 men. Because the identity God had placed inside of him. He said, get out of this cave, you mighty warrior. And what I want you to understand is that if Gideon had not grabbed a hold of the identity God had placed inside of him, he would have been forever hiding inside that cave. And what's going to happen is if you don't grab a hold of the identity God's placed inside of you, is you'll find yourself, you might not be hiding in a cave, but you'll be hiding behind the truth. You'll be hiding behind that lie. You'll be hiding behind what everybody else does and says. You'll be hiding behind trying to fit in. You'll be hiding behind that pain. You'll be hiding behind that mask. You'll be hiding behind it. And what's going to happen is if you don't grab a hold of your identity, you may live the rest of your life hiding behind that. But if you'll grab a hold of the identity God's placed inside of you, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what that person says, it doesn't matter what that person does, it doesn't matter what you believe about yourself. The Creator placed an identity inside of you. And now no longer can somebody else change your value, your worth, or your identity. Here's the second thing. An entire nation was changed when one person got a hold of their identity. I just told you, Gideon rounds up 300 men, defeats an army of 137,000. The nation of Israel goes from being enslaved, bombarded, beaten up, to now all of a sudden they're free. And all it took was one man grabbing hold of his identity. Let me ask you a question. What would happen to your school? What would happen to your friend group? What would happen to your sports team if every single person in here grabbed a hold of the identity God placed inside of them? I mean, can you imagine Leonard High School? Can you imagine Sumner? Come on. Can you imagine Morgan? Can you imagine York? Can you imagine Eisenhower? Can you imagine whatever your school is? If you'll grab a hold of your identity, the one that God's placed inside of you.